So I'm going to kind of jump to the last thought, and you guys, please, keep me honest here. But I think when you have that SME who already knows how it should be, part of what we saw was the partnership and allies that we make, not only with our technical teams, but with parts of the business, is part of the research process that we find to be helpful. And part of that is, okay, SME, I'm going to use everything that you know, and you are so valuable in helping me unearth what else we can know, because we need everybody else to have that empathy. So it's the delta between the knowing and the feeling, right? So that's a really key piece of it. Transparency is one of the things we talked about. And I'm going to jump back. What is research, right? We're like, okay, well, how do we define that in this kind of a project setting? And I think there's a lot of different techniques that we can utilize. But one of the things we talked about was involving other people in our process, whether we're doing interviews, whether we're doing persona work, whether we're doing journey maps. So bringing along some of the technical people and the subject matter experts so that they understand and they inform, because in many cases, there's no way for us to know technically fully how far to push, but how do we do that? So transparency, so coming into it with a team and saying, I'm not totally sure how we're gonna do this. This is a new space, we're gonna do this together. That we all arrived at research is really, really necessary for productive facilitation. So how can I walk into a workshop, you talked about a domain workshop, and not have enough understanding of that, or not have people in the room who can back me up and help facilitate that process. And then in terms of deliverables, we talked about personas, journey maps, surveying. There's lots of different tools that we can use, but the most valuable output isn't always the deliverable, it's the experience, right? We're crafting the experience for the team. We're crafting the experience for the business, not just for the people who are going to be consuming it. And do you guys have other stuff you want to add?
I mean, just, yeah, the experience of the technical team members, like conducting the research with them, that leads to a really different outcome than when we're doing it on our own.
I'll just, the one that's kind of close to my heart that I didn't really come expecting to learn, but kind of working with the integrated team for partnership as and as an ally, because I think one thing I'm struggling with is we're in an organization that's relatively new to UX, 5 years-ish, so they don't really know how to work with us, and then we're in this space where we're not really quite sure the best way to work with them. And I think we talked it through that if they can invest the time to kind of actually hand in hand go through this process so that we can understand better what they're needing, what they already have, and vice versa, then we can kind of craft out this ideal or at least bespoke process together so that we can kind of be a lot more effective. So I think that was my
team building without any force.
Well, I was just going to
go off to a higher up station, good. And actually.
Yep. Well, and I think like a real challenge, Kate, that you brought up is that like committing those people resources. Like, you were saying I don't have technical people that can follow me through all of my research activities, and that's a really like a real scenario.
I don't know how to solve that one yet.
Yeah. So we talked about like the value of that, like when you start at the beginning to like begin together. There's a lot of value there, even if you can't, allocate people to go with you the whole way through.
Yeah, even on our projects here, I think I'm already mic'd. Yeah. And is, one of the things that we used to talk about back in the day was you want to get a small team together to start the project, to do that upfront research, to develop the relationships with the client before you bring on all those valuable resources, as we would say later on. Right? Don't bring them in until they're really needed. Don't bring in the developers till we know what they're going to build. And these guys turned that on its head for me. They're like, the developers were there from day one. They were in on all the research. The shared understanding happened from the very beginning, and it made everything go faster and better later on. It was like another one of those things where it's an upfront investment, and it seems counterintuitive, but it actually really worked very well for both of your projects, right? For all of your projects.
And I think they were also to show value to the client. They were iterating on some technical things that we were kicking around and ideas. So they were in those sessions and they were involved in the discovery, but they were also doing some other things that showed the business value. And that, I think that really helps too. Some visibility. So making sure that the stakeholder sees something productive coming out of it. Or if you have somebody that you know is a really good person to pull in who you think would be a good ally and more high visibility, I think that kind of win helps too.
Sorry, 'cause Carol, what you just said just kind of made the penny drop for me, because we have obviously the problem where we've got developers and they're like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We've got basically they need to start building something, they've got to produce something in their sprints, but you're right. Why not take them and say, okay, we've got stuff for them to do, come help us with this beginning part so that we can do something more valuable. Yeah.
I thought that last point you made about the experience of research being part of the value is important. CX researchers use that, use customer research panels a lot, and part of being in a customer research panel can actually be the experience in itself, because by being part of that panel, you get early insight to new products that are coming out. You get to feel like you are part of the development of a new product, and you get kind of first look at the new product. So being part of that makes you feel like you're special, and you are kind of a VIP. So just being part of that research not only provides data to the company, but you are you're an insider. And some of these panels have thousands of members. So those customers are getting a special kind of experience that provides unique value above and beyond what you would normally get as a customer. So it's a technique that a lot of customer experience researchers are using kind of as a win-win. Just as part of the research itself is providing a unique experience. So it's part of it. It's a new trend to get around the lower response rates problem that's coming in surveys. So I think that there's some really cool value there.
Well, that's interesting. I was just thinking before you took the mic was that, you know, how big is a team? Because you get 20 people in a room, you can't get anything done. But you're talking thousands. So, you know, maybe that's where 1904 Labs, you know, process. How do you get this upfront involvement without having 50 people in a room and can't do anything?
So maybe on that note, but definitely on a note over here about having the developers involved in the research. Whenever I was taking a developer along, we only brought about one developer along to do the research with us. So I don't know if that's on your note or not, but bringing one developer along for contextual inquiry research or other type of research like that helped me learn more about the details of the data, like stuff that I didn't understand, because they were able to teach me more about the data. And when we're doing that research, we just did it in very small, just two people. It wasn't a room of 50 people, yeah. But you bring that back to the developers, and we generally work on 2 pizza teams, kind of, you know, the agile-sized teams, about 6 people, 7 people max. And when you have those developers in that research process, they can help you understand it, and they can also help you, if you will, stay honest when you're relaying that information back to the other developers. So,
Kath and Dottie, do you want to jump in with anything at this point?
No, I was just actually applauding bringing the developers in and working directly with them. I really, that's one of the things that I've found in the past on any type of project. If you can get the developers involved in the research and understanding what you're doing and having them weigh in, makes a huge difference in how you actually, solution whatever it is you're trying to solution. So in the past, I've worked in the clinical space, and I've taken developers into clinical laboratories to see how users actually use their software. And it's always eye-opening, and it's always interesting to see what that relationship looks like and how they bring that information back to what they do. And it lets them also own a piece of what it is that you're trying to help them understand, and vice versa. So it's a really interesting and very nice way to do work. So I'm sitting here on mute, clapping.
Lisa, there's a mic.
Yeah, I would agree with the same thing. I think particularly when I work with things like Kibana or tools that do really high-level integration of data across sources, often the developers design dashboards in a vacuum. and they're just kind of guessing at what decisions are going to be driven by the data that's presented. And so they just go for the coolest, most colorful, crazy thing that they can put up there. But as soon as you start to help them understand the questions that are being asked and how the answers are going to change behaviors, I find that they become part of the team, an integral part of the team, and think about, hey, if you're asking this question, this kind of data might be relevant that I know about from this other system over here that you don't know about because I just happen to work on it. So it's just another kind of forensic source of data in some ways, and when you get the right developers, they run off and start reading, all of the data dashboard books too, so they come back with some really great ideas.
I think one of the things that Carol has said to me since I got to the labs was that we're often teaching people as we go. And that's one of the things too that I think is important as you bring developers or business partners or anybody in. What we've tried to do is give them, as we go in, clear agendas and really clear communication and transparency and templates about what we're going to do. So when I worked with my dev team, we worked out ahead of time, like this is kind of how we're going to work and this is how we might approach this so that everybody's comfortable in what the roles are, what the handoffs are. And I think being that clear, we did it with our product owner too, so that everybody had a comfort level and they kind of knew, okay, I'm going to let you kind of, for my team, we would start out really broad with broad research questions, and then I would pitch it to them when it started to get deeper, right? And they knew that. We had talked it through ahead of time, and I think that kind of transparency is really, really important, but that kind of planning too as you engage those folks so that they know what to expect and you know what to expect, and you go in with a clear picture. And I think people are more comfortable and do better then.
One other aspect that I've learned that I just wanted to share, something that I learned along the way, is from a development perspective, you got to slow down to go faster. A lot of development teams, a lot of businesses are, get the team up and running, start making them do work, start showing me something right away, and push. And whether it's agile or waterfall, it's about, they want to see the outputs. What the HCD side brings is we want to see the outcomes. Not just more stuff, but the right stuff. So again, the metaphor is sort of shifting. You got to slow down to go fast. And someone showed me a great, there's a video out there on YouTube somewhere that sort of explained this beautifully, with a can of water. You pour the water upside down really fast, it goes clunk, 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 as the water just drizzles out. Because even though you're trying to get it out as fast as possible, the sheer force of it going out is holding it back, it's stuttering. But if you can just pour it a little bit more slowly, slow it down, you get the water out twice as fast, and you get a better result. You won't get quite as much splatter, all those kinds of things. It's a neat little sort of metaphor. But slowing down to go fast is very useful. Getting alignment up front is huge.